Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another Anthem video, and in this one, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the Ranger. The Ranger is your all-round Javelin class. It is a good blend of both attack and defense, as well as mobility. It is also the Javelin that we will all begin the game with, so while you can choose, very soon after, ultimately this is where we will all begin. It's also the Javelin we've seen the most of, and the most footage of. However, thanks to some more information that came out of Paris Games Week, and some more footage courtesy of EA, we do have a chance to take a more in-depth look at this class and talk about all of its abilities, its support options, its melee options, and of course, the ultimates. So if you guys do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If you haven't entered our Spider-Man PS4 Pro giveaway, don't forget to click that link in the description box down below to enter. And if you don't want to miss any of our future Anthem uploads, then don't forget to click that notification button to stay up to date every time we upload a new video. Now the Ranger is, as mentioned, the all-round Javelin, a good blend of both attack and defense, as well as mobility. It's the one that we will all begin the game in, and it's also the one you will see most frequently since freelancers typically train in the Ranger to begin with. That doesn't mean to say that it is a beginner Javelin. On the contrary, it is just simply the most versatile. Much like all the other Javelins, it can also equip two different weapons. The only ones it can't use are the heavy weapons, which are again exclusive to the Colossus. And on the customization front, while the Javelin itself is unique in its own way, it still follows the same format when it comes to the actual loadout options. For the Ranger, that of course includes a melee slot, two assault slots, which are the grenade gear and the launcher gear, and you also have a support slot, as well as, of course, your ultimate ability. So starting off with your melee option, you have the Shock Mace. With this, once you get up close and personal with your enemies, you can draw out an electrified mace, which sends a very high degree of voltage through its enemies. So it is essentially a good chance for you to just bat them out the way, deal with them quickly. Do bear in mind, of course, the Ranger, much like the other Javelins, apart from, of course, the Interceptor, doesn't have an actual melee-focused build per se, so the ability here is purely for just clearing things out of the way. If they get too close, if they get up in your face, you can just hit them back, and you can then return to your weapons. Of course, moving on from there to your first assault option, your gear slot, you have the Javelin Grenade gear. Under this section, you have the Frag Grenade, the Inferno Grenade, the Frost Grenade, Secret Grenades, and the Sticky Bomb. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory. Frag Grenade deals an impressive amount of explosive damage. You throw it down, it explodes, and of course damages enemies in the vicinity. The Inferno Grenade ignites an area, dealing damage and setting enemies ablaze, so of course good for controlling a point. The Frost Grenade will damage and freeze enemies in place, pretty good for if you want to combo with some teammates. The Secret Grenade will split into smaller sub-munitions, which will then seek out the nearest enemy, and the Sticky Bomb will attach to a single target for contained high damage blast. So it could be pretty good if you throw it onto an elite, or one of those, say, more shielded enemies. You want to throw it on the tank at the back, that could be an option. Of course, on top of that, you also have the Assault Launcher gear. This comes from your wrist-mounted weapon. You either have the Homing Missile, the Energy Pulse, the Spark Beam, the Venom Darts, or the Blast Missile. The Homing Missile, pretty self-explanatory. You fire out a projectile that seeks out a target and of course dishes out a small area of effect explosion. The Energy Pulse will unleash a blast of pure energy, and this hits a single target with incredible force. You have the Spark Beam, which fires a sustained beam of energy for continuous damage. The Venom Darts launch a volley of darts that seek out targets for acid damage, and again can deal damage over time. And the Blast Missile fires out a missile that explodes with a large area of effect damage. Outside of that, you also have your support abilities. So for the Ranger, you either have Bulwark Point or you have Muster Point. The Bulwark Point deploys a spherical field which deflects incoming enemy projectiles. So if you're in a situation where, say, you're getting rushed and your team just need a moment to breathe, maybe you're trying to sort of survive a boss phase or trying to revive someone, drop this down and you can of course deflect some of those incoming projectiles. However, you also have Muster Point, which creates a field which increases weapon damage for teammates who enter its radius. So the idea behind this is that, again, really good if you're in a boss fight or you're fighting a tough enemy. You put it down, everyone groups up, you stand at that location, and you then fire. It could even be better, say, if you have like a Colossus at the front who can then draw the aggro, who can then take some of that fire, and everyone can stand behind the shield, dish out that damage, and take full advantage of that situation. And then finally, moving over to your ultimate ability, the Multi-Target Missile Battery. For this one, you activate it, and you then scan over some of the targets in the vicinity. You'll lock onto multiple targets if they're there, and you then fire out this barrage of rockets. Now the cool thing about this is it can be used for both multiple targets and single target. We saw in the gameplay most recently, shown at E3, that when they were flying by the Ash Titan, of course that was the only enemy nearby, so all the focus was on that central location, so you can of course use it for single target damage. But in a situation like this, where there are multiple enemies, this was also shown way back during the initial announcement trailer. Admittedly, the UI has changed since then, but the principle remains the same. You target a lot of enemies, you fire it out, and it clears out a wide area. So there we have it. That is an in-depth look at the Ranger. Still a really cool Javelin. While it might be the one we've seen the most of, and it might be the one that comparatively is the least interesting right now, it is still a really cool Javelin, and it's probably one of those ones that I can see a lot of people gravitating towards once they've tested out some of the other options. But anyway, that's it for the time being. Be sure to keep it locked for plenty more Anthem coverage. If you missed any of the other class guides, then you can check those out linked below. But again, keep it locked for plenty more Anthem news. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch 269 and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the end game store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here. But once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.